Continuing this is actually tied into my previous series about violence, but this is a new series in itself, and now the third video I'm making with this. So what I meant to say is that what I've been leading up to is that I think that violence, fear, terror is yet a part of the very trauma and shocks that a living organism would need to stay viable on a broad scale. If you take nature as a whole, the different terror and pain and conflict is yet part of vitalizing and reshifting things, and is necessary and inevitable in my opinion. So like, to give an example, I was doing delivery work in off hours of the night last night, and there was a guy in there so I was waiting outside a window, and there was like a beautiful woman standing next to me, and we were both waiting for orders. And then there was a brother in there who was he was working really hard to like get people their orders like that whole night, because he had already served me a couple times. And so after, I was appreciating how hard the man was working, and then so as he handed me the order, I put my fist out. I put my fist out like that, and then he acted like he didn't know what I was doing, putting my fist out like that, but he was really denying me like a pound, because I was trying to show him respect, like. But he was denying. That's called an affront, when you show people a gesture of respect, or maybe an apology or whatnot, and they actually openly defy your respect or defy your it's a way of denying a person dignity, when a person is extending respect. But yet nobody owes us anything, not even a fist bump. And nobody will damn near give us. Life is really more about leverage. You do way better with leverage than you do with respect or love, because people respond to leverage. Your ability to walk away from something is what somebody respects about you. More so, people, if you observe people closely, a lot of people are trying to get closer and closer to things that don't want them and don't like them, because I think that this reality, it has certain checking features, and it has back doors, and it humbles itself. This reality, as it exists, it humbles itself so that nothing gets too great. And part of that is that we have certain things in us that are bad. We have things about us that are bad about us, that are bad for us, that work against us, that are part of nature. Because just like you have different, this is also part of the conversation I had with the person that inspired this video, is that you have different bacteria in your body. And according to this man, that bacteria is more so significant than your actual brain, and that it actually more so informs your brain, and your brain might be more of a perceptual apparatus, but the actual mode of thinking comes from the gut. Some things might actually transpire in your gut before they occur to your mind. And I think that some of that bacteria works for you and does not. There's something called candida, I think. I watched a video by Tyler, RSD, Real Social Dynamics Tyler, back in the day, and he was talking about this. There's a certain type of bacteria called candida, and it's known to inspire poor decisions in general, but also around things like food and whatnot. So you want something that's not, that you know is not, there's nothing healthy about it, and it doesn't matter, because that whatever's in you, it wants that, and it's gonna have that for itself and for you, and for itself. But also, there's nothing entirely good or bad, even ourselves. And so we have a lot of things that are within us that are both working for us and against us, and it's yet therefore working for us because it's still working for the broader picture. So even things like disease and even things like disease, actually, it serves the broader system of nature. Even though, as unfortunate it would be for an individual member of nature, it yet works for nature. Sometimes you might say that even maybe things that are hunted, like deers. So they have, if you watch deers, you can really appreciate instincts and spontaneity when you watch deers. I made a video about that. Their perceptual apparatus, where they actually have maybe a hint or a hunch about what to do and not to do to survive. But equally as they have that, to a certain, there's a dual side to everything. So you could maybe say that they actually have some very instincts that may lead them to being slain and lead them into a poor position in order to feed what would need to feed on them in order for that thing to exist and also serve its purpose in balanced nature, which is part of checking the population of deer. Where the population of deer is not checked, the food source could be over consumed, and then the deer would get perish of starvation in the second place. In the first place in the first place, and then the second place had been the predator to check that. But it would have been perished either way. But the balances of nature make nature viable on the broader sense. So the deer might have instincts that both work for it and against us, and we as human beings have that too. Like my very inclination to respect a person that I don't know and to show them solidarity like that. That might be something working against me within me. And it serves the broader picture because now he looks like a badass saying "fuck off." But all I meant to say is that so conflict is inevitable. So you show someone respect, and you might get affronted, and now you have static with someone you were trying to show respect. You ignore a person. You don't. A lot of people. I was talking about military and martial and stuff like that in this video. A lot of people with a real military or martial background would never look someone in the eye or even acknowledge someone if they didn't absolutely have to. So maybe that was me. So more so me just being a civilian. But all I meant to say is that you respect someone and there can be static. You disrespect someone and there can be static. You do both and there can be static. So there's going to be static regardless, because conflict, violence, fear, terror, struggle is a part of what makes nature viable. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that, and that it's not entirely good or bad in itself, but it is imminent. And so that's part of where I was going through with this violence part, is that a lot of the violence and conflict that we have, it might be unavoidable, try as we may. Wear pink, like I actually had on pink when that man affronted me. Wear a color that you think is cool and love, like pink, and yet still get affronted and still find yourself in conflict. It's possible. What I wanted to say is that, so part of with violence in America, so a lot of people would cite things like gang violence as being a problem. But I think that there's a deeper problem than that, which would be like the money and the coercion is what the real problem is. Because like I was driving by like a campus where I live, and it's one of the bigger state schools in the country, and then it has a campus in the middle of town, where it's almost like a town in itself, that campus. And you see people there, they're going by Chipotle, they're going by like sorry, I didn't mean to cite any businesses, but they're going by nice restaurants of different scales with like delicious food, and they're like they're young people, they're having fun, they're dating, their life is good, life is rock and roll. It's almost like a smorgasbord of good times, opportunities, all the stuff you would like. And then there's yet homeless people dying right there. There's homeless people suffering right there. And then that was last night. And then in the morning I was doing a delivery, and I was at a different part of town. It's like an artist loft. So like these are like actual artists, and they have like a studio loft where they live at. And there was a man out there, a homeless man with like a bike, and he was sleeping in the middle of the daytime, but that's not a regular sleep that he had there. That's like a comatose sleep, like a deeper than deep sleep, where it's actually like it's not very different than looking at a dead body. When you see someone sleeping like that in the middle of the day, you can imagine when's the last time he ate or what he's been through. And so that's actually to me that's more dark, even that's as dark as what we would call violence. That's a form of violence. That deprivation in the face of excess like that, it speaks to a deeper incongruence and inequity that I can't entirely figure out. But what I meant to say is that in nature, you put people into any kind of difficult situation, any wilderness, and yet we're still in a difficult situation and wilderness in North America. Many would probably agree with that. But what you're going to have is people are going to click up and click off and form groups and survive together. That's a human thing. So it would actually be and then I think that human groups need a means to protect themselves from other groups and from themselves. So these would be your different groups that would be dispersed, neighborhood to neighborhood, city to city, state to state, within state, and you would actually have conflicts and rivalries that are yet a part of nature. And so it wouldn't necessarily be healthy or natural to have everyone have the exact same standpoint and background and perfect unity and harmony. That wouldn't be nature. You actually need you need the right dynamic of pull and push, and the right vacuum, the right mechanism of pull and push. So you would actually need different groups that stand for different things that would make it more vital and more dynamic and more alive. Is part of nature. So that's not actually a bad thing in itself.